This podcast is protected under the laws of the United States and other countries. Unauthorized duplication, distribution, or exhibition may result in civil liability, criminal prosecution, and the wrath of the tall man.
Boy! Hey, let's talk about you, the ID10T community events at ID10T.com, like Russ Stevens, a.k.a.
Catbus Russ,
who has started a podcast called 90 for Chill, which Russ says is dedicated to movies with a runtime between 74 and 99 minutes, the time frame that I feel is ideal. Russ, I could not agree with you more. That is a fantastic idea. Russ goes on to say there are times you need a cinematic fix but don't have time for the latest Scorsese masterpiece or offering from a comic book universe. There's also times when you need a conclusion to prevent a binge costing you a whole night. My guest and I try to follow these guidelines as we chat up features that are definitely worth your time and are beyond easy to make time for. 90 for Chill, the podcast, can be found on all major podcast platforms at 90forchill.com, and that's spelling out 90, Ninety, 4 FOR, chill. So there you go. Thank you so much for sharing, Russ. Really great idea for a podcast. Events at ID10T.com for everyone else.
Little Hand says it's time to rock and roll.
Bring the noise.
Hey, Catbus Russ here. Thanks for checking out this bonus episode of 90 for Chill, the podcast, or should I say, I Dig Crazy Flicks presents 90 for Chill, the podcast. It was kind of evident today, hanging out with TJ and Brian, that 90 for Chill kind of gets mixed up with Netflix and Chill, which kind of was the original intention, I understand, but yeah, we're got to work on doing this I Dig Crazy Flick stuff. 90 for Chill is still important because otherwise I don't really have a theme to differentiate myself from other movie podcasts. But I will digress. So I've just concluded day one of Fan Expo New Orleans 2025. And, it's going to be an interesting podcast we drop on Wednesday. As I said, this is a bonus episode. I hope to get this out for Saturday. And still find time to try some of this late night New Orleans food. But I digress. So for me, it was just really a lot of work on the floor, dare I say. There were a couple of panels I wanted to check out, but this is where I met in person TJ and Brian from the NOLA Film Scene podcast, or I should say TJ and Plato, as he said that's how you pronounce his name. It's French. Brian, I should say. And so a lot of time on the floor, but it allowed me to get more social, I suppose. I got to meet people, or I had to meet people, and I've got a lot of actual pictures with cosplayers, not just me, hey, can I get a pic? So I think that's a little bit opening up for me, but of course, Brian would say, oh, the talkative nature of me. And I guess that carries on into the podcast where I know I'm in control. I guess that's still the control freak in me. I was looking for tattoo artists on the floor, and this is a very small con, all things considered. Heck, the main stage is part of the floor. So, so I guess they probably wouldn't have space for Tattoo Alley. But, it just kind of hurts because I finally had a cool idea I could get done at a con like this. I mean, I got Vincent back in Champaign, and, it'll take a little work, but I got to get my buddy Nose in Peoria to do some work on me. But, I just felt like, all right, not get a lot of merchandise. I can afford some ink, overpriced ink. I know how much they charge at these cons when they do have tattoo alleys. So it's going to be a rebel-themed... a Palestinian themed rebel logo. I was thinking about doing, put it on my left arm so I can guarantee upset some people at my day jobs. Hey, it's the Midwest, what can I say? And, when I think about offending people and such, it's a little more subdued. I would say the floor when it comes to letting out all the love for the LGBTQ plus community. I mean, there were some boosts, but nobody really just like, hey, this is where you get all your queer merchandise. So, but you know, it's not Chicago, it's not Minneapolis, it's definitely a red state, and my train ride through the South kind of like, don't think the media is wrong on this one. So, well, there you go. Hopefully I've not scared TJ and Brian off from further collaborations. So they were great guys. And we had a fun time at our panel, which was attended by only one person. And she is a relation to one of my guests. So, yeah, we got killed by the 40th anniversary Back to the Future reunion at the same time. So it's kind of like, I don't know, can you really... Well, I mean, this was the main event. Like, all your merchandise for Fan Expo were red vest, sunglasses from the future, the ball caps. Like, honestly, I guess the con may have busted their nut right away. And, you know, can you really blame them right now? Because we had a lot of cancellations due to the fires in LA. But I look forward to tomorrow. I can just kind of, I think, focus. I don't know. It'd be nice to talk with Brian and TJ a little more, you know, hang out a little more. I think just so I can be that a little more of a social butterfly. I mean, that'd be a little easier to meet their recent guest on the NOLA Film Scene podcast, Miss Ooh La La, Bridget Rose. Because, hey, I'm a dork. I mistook members of the Aerial Space Squad as, oh, that must be Miss Ooh La La. I should think, like, Miss Ooh La La is probably closer to my age, so if I remember her story correctly on the NOLA Film Scene podcast, which I do my best to promote on Blue Sky for them. I think that's the way to go. But they're fans of pictures, and, you know, they're movie guys, and it's showing more than telling, I suppose, which I think is a great point to just slow down a moment and throw in a movie review that a movie I watched last night, because I can access Netflix at my Hilton Canopy Hotel. Can't access my room with the key card not working when I got back and the digital key not being functional, so lots of fun there. But you know what? It's been a fun time so far, so let me go and post that review, and I'll see if I have anything else to offer about this day at Fan Expo New Orleans, where the weather is as good as it was at Twin Cities Con.
In the beginning, there was man and nature, and on the fringes of the earth, there was a reckoning.
Have a name.
His name is One Eye. You need a name, and you've only got one eye.
You Christians?
Yes?
You're lying. We're God's own soldiers, warrior, heading for Jerusalem to reconquer the Holy Land. Now you've got your freedom. What do you plan to do with it? I could use a good fighter like you.
Never seen a mist like this before.
Perhaps it's a curse.
Driven by hate. It's how he survives. Why he never loses.
The boy said he was from hell. Maybe that's where we're going.
How are we going to kill him?
I'm going to show them a man of God has arrived.
Going to kill us all, one by one.
When I die, you will go back to hell.
You have to appreciate hotels knowing that everybody prefers streaming now. So I'm at the Hilton Canopy in New Orleans for Fan Expo starting tomorrow. This will probably be dropped tomorrow night, or I should say Saturday morning, what have you. With the Hilton Canopy, I decided, well, I might as well watch a movie to give a little more content. And I originally wanted to watch Legion on Netflix. I think that fits both the I Dig Crazy Flicks theme and, of course, the parameters of 90 for Chill. And it was one honestly, it was a movie back in 2009. I see the trailer for it. It's like, well, it kind of looks cool, but it kind of looks stupid. And that's before I really got into no-budget movies, thanks to the once great, well, wasn't that great, but the option of having the independent theater in Peoria, and then followed up by the cool guys at the Drunken Zombie podcast and film festival. So once I get over the, that's big budget stupidity, it seems like it would be up my alley. I mean, heck, you have the guy who gets all the credit for, Doug Jones. The brilliant mime who does a lot of characters, Guillermo del Toro. All right, it has a bit in very short, but hey, what culture says you got to watch that movie for it? Sadly, Netflix has a paywall against certain movies. I can't tell if I can find it on Pluto or Tubi right now because I'm on using my Surfshark VPN to protect my browsing and what have you. So licensing issues, the reason why my base subscription to Netflix will not allow me to watch Legion on their service. And that's silly. Never mind. Never Back Down 2. You're putting a paywall behind Michael Jai White? Come on. The movie I ended up choosing then was Valhalla Rising. It's got that religious context to it. The afterlife for the Vikings, what have you. Mads Mikkelsen with some eye damage, which always put promising. And it is a movie that fits the 90 for Chill parameters, so if it's not that crazy, hey, it still qualifies for me to talk about it. It is a period piece set, I believe, in the 12th century, as you have... Well, it's a story of a Viking, I guess, called One Eye. He's starts as a prisoner who really is just let out to fight. It kind of has a gladiator feel when you stop and think about it. It seems like he has visions of the afterlife type vibe. He's let out of his cage only to fight. He's got to create some great gory scenes right there. So it's a great start to the film. But then we bring in all the concepts of invading Christian influence. Once he escapes as he's being sold so that the Vikings can go and negotiate with the Christians, money solves everything. Basically, hey, leave us alone. He escapes, kills the tribe, but adopts essentially a young boy to serve as his voice since he's mute. So easy gig for Mads. Which is interesting because this is a Danish feature. It's directed by the man who ended up directing Drive and then other films of great note like Bronson with Tom Hardy, I believe. He's just wandering Scotland and he finds a village that has been pillaged, the women ready to be raped by Christian Vikings who decide that they're going to go and protect the Holy Land and, maybe exploit the riches and join the Crusades. So they get on a boat, they go into a mist, and I guess I was kind of picking on the film when I'm writing up my notes about, so no compass, how do you know if you turned, general directions, all that stuff, and other little elements. They get into a mist, and they end up going to hell, essentially, is what the boy says. Hell being North America, actually. Everybody goes nuts. Essentially, our leader decides this is a new place to claim. So really anti-colonialism, which, hey, I'm all for, kind of makes you think, oh, especially right now, Donald Trump saying, let's get Greenland, let's get Canada. It's like, dude, we are definitely over invading other people's stuff. And, as long as it's not a Mexican government-sponsored invasion, which Trump says it probably is, why not keep our borders, we have the space. Like, let's not have people suffer. But I digress there. So, yeah, it's basically becomes a story about who's going to get out of hell, who's going to get back home. There you go. So I appreciate, like, the first 7 minutes of the film is totally dialogue free, and that's the best bits. You get the violent fights and what have you, and up to our silent warriors escape. It's a pretty interesting movie, and even when they get to the Vikings, it's kind of fun. Then it's just kind of too much reliance on visuals. I know it's a Danish director, and you could say, well, Europa or Zooropa rules, but really show, but there's no real telling, I suppose. So just kind of visuals with a rock kind of guitar soundtrack, just trying to be edgy, and I think it just really just lacks a narrative. The characters there's no real characters besides One Eye and the boy and our Christian zealot. So it's just doesn't really keep your attention, in my opinion. There's some beautiful shots. I mean, we're talking of a very competent director in Nicholas Winding Refn. Pardon me if I mispronounce that. So competently directed, but there's just like the mist effects are kind of get boring. The visions of hell from Mads' character are kind of like just so synthetic feeling. It's just a movie with great potential, but again, it's kind of like without a narrative, I'm just not going to keep my attention. So maybe I'm just spoiled by the idea that, well, I'm not a director, or I don't plan on being a director. So I think I'm a little more head up, with the Tarantino types with dialogue and such. But it does lead me to think, since I said this kind of has a Gladiator vibe, and Gladiator's a rewriting of history, essentially, like, do Tarantino's and Scott's films exist in its own little universe? Tarantino is definitely not afraid to change the histories. Let me go back to my notes, see if there's anything else. Let's see if I can wrap this up in 10 minutes. Yeah, I guess, they're primitive characters. Some of the decisions are really stupid, or just logic is ignored. Like, okay, so they're solely relying on the wind and currents to get them to Jerusalem, instead of, like, oars to try to keep your boat going. And I guess it's all about symbolism, because once they get the oars out, it's kind of like, well, their faith is lost. I don't know. Maybe you could put this on at a rock bar as a background, as you got better guitar music being played, I suppose. It's got a clever neck break that I would love to use in a rewrite of Main Event of the Dead. Maybe a little complicated, but I could figure that out. So I'm not dissatisfied that I watched the feature, but it's definitely not. I'm definitely in the minority. I don't consider this a great movie. It's a great work of style. No, not really, because again, every step forward that Riffin takes, he also takes a step back. It's a movie that does not go anywhere. That sums up Valhalla Rising.
Something so small generates enough energy to reverse time.
Oh, just fix it, 11, or I'll take it to the Genius Bar.
Well, I'm still trying to figure out how to properly use my new Yeti microphone. I think this sounds a little better. Hopefully it's not picking up too much motion. I've currently got the laptop on a bed, a duvet. Sorry, that just sounds so French Quarter, I guess. Devay. Uncle Devay from... Alright, now I'm just getting silly. So, yeah. What else I have to add about Fan Expo? Well, I mean, I didn't really get too much merchandise, had cold food at the cold chicken strips. Chicken strips are good. The fries, not so much. As I say, cold. From the concourse there, say, like a very confusing food court situation. The map's even a little confusing, and it's like they got things happening on 3 levels, and it's like, again, I just don't see enough stuff happening to warrant that. So, a little weird for me, and it's probably just coming from Chicago cons and what have you. So, please bring me back, Fan Expo New Orleans. You can always put me against another main eventer, and I will figure it out from there. So, yeah. So, all I really did was buy some leggings. I've want to do more than just have my Totoro leggings that I wear with my kilt. And it's kind of weird right now, and it's just more a societal thing that I'm getting asked to what clan I am with my kilt. It's a green kilt it's from Hot Topic, circa 2014. So it doesn't mean anything. And then when I was in Chicago recently for the Winter Classic, we get a guy upset that I didn't respond to him saying, "Oh, Irish Pride," when I'm wearing Hot Topic Stinger jeans, 1/2 red plaid, 1/2 black. So, yeah, I'm white. I don't think I have to should worry about cultural appreciation of other white things. But with that said, I'm definitely trying my best not to mimic any Cajun Creole. There we go. Cajun Creole accents down here. And there's some authentic ones. So again, really feel like a Yankee. And that's, I don't know, kind of unique, honestly. And kind of weird, we're in a nerd con, so feeling like an outsider kind of defeats the purpose, I guess. And really, coming down to this con, I did not focus too much on who the guests were going to be. This isn't like Fan Expo Chicago where Mark Hamill was your headliner and, I wrote on the "What's your fandom?" I'm here for the star of Brigsby Bear. So, something that we should have included in our podcast, I'd say for... I think we may have mentioned it, briefly, but definitely not... didn't get a chance to dive into Brigsby Bear, at least on the published episode of my appearance on In Love with Movies, where we discussed I Heart Huckabees, where they did a good job of protecting the innocent. So... maybe I need to get myself my own producer for this podcast. With that said, I am eyeing some large mouse pads because I think that would be good for the sound quality. I at home I have a plastic table I have my laptop on, so it shouldn't really be too much of an issue with sound. But anything soft to further absorb it. Eliminate the echo, which is, something we have to deal with the panel tonight. I think it's a good idea. So, pardon the rustling, or I could just hit the stop button momentarily.
Hold on to your butts.
So, back to it. The leggings I purchased are from the Legging Lass, and I don't mean to cheat them with their own, but just promoting them. Like, they got a website password. It's the legginglass.com, and the website password is Baby Yoda, which I guess I should take offense to because his name is Grogu. But, digression and all that. So, yeah, I've picked up, there was some, I guess I really kind of was hoping for a little more, this is the most colorful green, like I have some black and gray leggings I got from Hot Topic for My Neighbor Totoro. So this is a little more lively. honestly, I was thinking like, hey, maybe I should have picked up one of those dresses. Just not like they were kind of like suspenders, so I guess you're not supposed to. I guess as a wrestler, it kind of made me think like, yeah, I could definitely rock that. Might have to go and get myself a, crop top, I guess, to make sure my boobs don't come out. But then I got my gut, so maybe it's just gonna be a t-shirt underneath. But and it's funny, I do Captain N, and nobody recognized Captain N at this con, so Philistines, or generational difference, as Brian kept on mentioning whenever he introduced trying to promote the NOLA Film Scene podcast. He'd always say, first, do you watch Invader Zim? Because his teacher is the voice actress who played Zim. And, if they say, yes, cool, then he'll move on to the next one. Have you seen Bill and Ted 3? And then if they say, no, well, he's just say generational things. So I'll save his Bill and Ted stories. But I have to envy Brian. He gets to call William Sadler, Bill. So listen to NOLA Film Scene. As he says, start with episode 4, and it just picks up from there. So yeah, that was and he was great. The two, Brian and TJ, were great when it came to my podcast. Brian is more the tech guy. No, I'm sorry, TJ is more the tech guy. Brian is the more talkative one. But it's one of those, when somebody says something when they're quiet, you tend to listen to them. I can't say I have that quality, but I guess for me, maybe I'm just a little too timid. Like, I want to have that quality, so it's like I better knock it out of the ballpark if I speak. So that's me. But thinking about those kind of like, it was like a suspenders, leggings type thing. I was curious about. I really wanted to get something Has-Been Hotel, but there you go. My own little insecurities. I suggest like, I could really go for the Angel Dust, and I can never remember what Keith David's name is on the show. I mean, they have the great song Loser Baby, and it's like, Russ, why haven't you gotten around to, especially since you're in New Orleans, The Princess and the Frog? More Keith David singing, I believe. So, just again picking up my insecurities. With that said, I got to talk a little about my wrestling exploits with Brian while we're hanging around the con floor, and we mentioned it on 90 for Chill, the podcast, which will drop Wednesday. So no pressure, guys, because they really want to help with the editing, and I think they got some great audio, probably some better audio using lapel mics, and as I say, TJ wasn't really speaking too much into the live mic, and granted, we didn't have an audience, so I can't say I blame them. It's just one of those, for me, it's kind of frustrating because I had to learn how to talk into a mic for my wrestling career, which brings me to there's a lot of influence from this group called Bizarro Wrestling. I think I saw their ring on the second floor set up, and it's really I guess Louisiana Wrestling Association. It looked like a 16 by 16. And I'm a little timid about interacting with them because I don't know if they're wrestlers. And granted, I haven't had taken a bump in, nearly 10 years now. I still have my gear in the car. Russ Staley, Mark Hart, the ridiculously named El Football Loco, an English wrestling gimmick. And I've always wanted to do the Northside Ninja, my Cubs wrestling gimmick. But I digress. So I have to probably try checking in on them tomorrow. I mean, they seem to be doing a lot of stuff. They definitely getting the most out of the room they must have rented. So that's something to look forward to tomorrow. And, I am definitely going to check out Bootleg Safari for the big sister, obviously. And I got to find his table, maybe I can find the shirt my older sister always wants to grab a hold of. So Bootleg Safari, fun YouTube show where they just look at the stuff you'd find, say, in other countries that just avoid acknowledging copyrights and trademarks from the United States. Like the mascot essentially is famous fat orange cat, a Chinese toy. So it's going to be fun to see him do his panel tomorrow. So, yeah, lots to look forward to. I'm going to, and you know what? I've never actually gotten around to seeing an Anthony Daniels C-3PO actor panel, so that'll be fun. I kind of feel like I've insulted my Star Wars fandom that I've seen Ian McDiarmid, Darth Sidious before him. So, and Anthony Daniels is at a lot of cons. Like, I'm going to be curious. Are they going to have the Star Wars March? That might happen on Sunday, and I'm not really going to be there. Sadly, my train leaves about 1:30 Sunday, so I can get back to Morton at 6. Not Morton. Sheesh. If only we had those trains. Like, I kind of envy Galesburg. I don't know, it gets weird, Amtrak, but we really need to fix that. And 4 years of Donald Trump is not going to do that. Okay, enough politics. So yeah, I'm looking forward to tomorrow, and that's good. It's kind of like talking myself up right now to pump myself up. And I don't want to give too many trade secrets away, but I think I have a means of further enjoying it. And you know what? There's the Under the Sea celebration, again, to honor Back to the Future. So he is just mocking me. Thank you, Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis. Why all the attention? A sickly Michael J. Fox and an 80... Gosh, I think he's turning 90, Christopher Lloyd. I just hope he has enough energy for nobody too. But I'm being sarcastic. I do my best to try participating in Michael J. Fox's Parkinson, what is the term? Awareness campaigns. My grandma, on my mom's side, Grandma Polk, she started to develop it, but she made it to 81 and called it quits essentially once she got that final cancer diagnosis. But that's not a bad. She knew it was coming, and she was just gonna let 81. Why do you want to keep fighting? I mean, that's I don't know. That's one of those, like, we just had Jimmy Carter die at 100, and of course the evil Henry Kissinger. But I guess, like, I don't know, we're getting into Logan's Run stuff, which we can discuss on I Did Crazy Flicks. So I know this is a 90 for Chill episode because Valhalla Rising does qualify for the pod, the original parameters, I should say, but I've always had a fascination with Logan's Run, and I can't say I've watched it from beginning to end. I've seen most of it, and when I say most of it, I'd say Act 2 and 3. Like, I've seen some of the dialogue from the earlier segments, and like, oh gosh, that's kind of disjointed. Just Michael York, like, let's have sex. But yes, we can talk about that now on my podcast feed. I Did Crazy Flicks presents 90 for Chill, the podcast with Cat Bus Russ. And with that said, if you want to be a guest on 90 for Chill, feel free to send an email to russthebus07@gmail.com. That's RUSSTHEBUS07@gmail.com. And offer me a movie, a theme, a director, an actor, and let's fry up some podcast gold. If you want to get crazy, we can do marathons to, celebrate sub 100 minute movies and then one long movie. Or, now we can just talk about crazy movies. So don't give me a John Grisham courtroom procedural, I suppose is what I'm saying. Like, those don't get crazy enough for me. I guess maybe I can justify a film where you get the immortal line, yes, they deserve to die, and I hope they burn in hell. But otherwise, yeah, we got to go a little crazy. I mean, A Few Good Men, awesome, but you're going to have to work to that one with a marathon. Just setting some parameters, like, if you just want to jump right to Terrifier 2, that's what I'm kind of talking about when it comes to crazy. But hey, just get a hold of me and we'll get that figured all out. So you could also, if you don't want to email me, feel free to find me on my social media. That's at CatBusRuss on Blue Sky, Threads, and Instagram. And I think I do drop the ball. Not drop the ball. I do acknowledge that I'm thinking about making a Twitter return just to spite Musk. But, we'll hold off on that. Of course, listening to the NOLA Film Scene podcast with TJ and Plato. I can't really get their schedule nailed down, but, they've got guests, so they just do a great job of showing you what the New Orleans nerdom, I think, is more importantly. I mean, they talk about their efforts and they talk about acting, but they are willing to come and give you great, concise conversations about just nerdy stuff, and they're definitely worth listening to. And so, I will share that on Blue Sky whenever they drop new stuff. Until they get on the future social media. So, otherwise, let me just go and thank Tim Bates, my guest for the Arena and Night of the Demon episodes of 90 for Chill, for being a Patreon subscriber for $3 a month. You get that shout out. I will mail you I'll send you a sticker. And, right now, since we didn't have an opportunity to sell my NOLA X Crazy Flicks bumper stickers, I might send you one of those. That is definitely going to be a loss because I imagine shipping, might break even. But, hey, you guys are worth it. And by the point I come up with new stuff to send you, it'll pay for itself. So, hey, always thinking, I suppose. So that's patreon.com/IDidCrazyFlicks. So, getting hungry, been hungry for a while. So let me go and wrap this up with me thanking Stationary Harden for keeping an eye on me, being my inspiration, keeping me out of trouble for the most part. And I hope she's doing the same for everybody else she touched in her life. And I hope she's just loving the hell out of Skimbleshanks, the one-eared angel. And let me thank Allie Higgins for giving me that ride to the train station in Champaign. They joke about it. We joke about it on the panel tonight. And I think Allie would appreciate the humor. Or she wouldn't. I don't know. I need to get her on the show. She wanted to talk about cats, and Lord knows that is a crazy flick. So, thanks for checking out 90 for Chill the podcast, I Did Crazy Flicks presents 90 for Chill the podcast, and I hope you have yourself a pleasant day.
Can I hear a wahoo?